Servicing as the gateway for the Hansen Dam Recreation Center, which is home to many horse and hiking trails.
I'm super excited. I want to come out here and start hiking and doing, that's what I like, and then it's just very beautiful.
The 4,600 square foot modern facility brings the outdoors in with tons of natural light, thanks to its floor-to-ceiling windows. It also includes a visitor center, community lobby, and public counter.
I firmly believe that it's important for us to make sure that we prioritize this type of service, this type of access, this type of recreation opportunity.
Councilmember Fuentes says that while this ranger station is a great addition to the area, it will also allow the city to efficiently deploy services to other parks in the San Fernando Valley. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
The new station costs $10 million to build and was partly funded by Proposition K. Tips are needed to help solve the murders of a woman and her young child. A fund is set up to help families in the aftermath of the Humboldt bus crash, and Despicable Me could help boost LA tourism. These stories and more in City Beat. Homicide detectives are asking for the public's help in providing information in the case of the double murders of 28-year-old Gisela Yali and her 1-year-old son, Dylan Reyes. The victims were found in a burning, converted garage on March 5th when the LA Fire Department responded to a house fire in the 100 block of East 50th Street. Gisela's husband, who was not home when the fire occurred, urges those who may know something to come forward.
I couldn't save my family, but who knows, maybe whoever did it, maybe planning to do the same thing to other family. So maybe the community could help someone else.
Police say Gisela Reyes was restrained when firefighters found her. A vigil was held at Dorsey High School in memory of Jennifer Bonilla, a 17-year-old honor student who was among 10 students and chaperones killed on April 11th when a FedEx truck crashed into their bus as they headed to tour Humboldt State University. Meanwhile, ShareFest is joining with LA City Councilman Joe Buscaino to raise money to assist victims and their families through any financial hardships in the aftermath of the crash. For information on the Humboldt Bus Crash Victims Assistance Fund, go to sharefestinc.org. Mayor Eric Garcetti and Councilman Curran Price were among those who attended the ribbon cutting of the new Northgate Gonzales Market in South Los Angeles. The market, located in the Juanita Tate Marketplace at the corner of Slauson and Central Avenues, is providing nearly 200 jobs and fresh produce to that area of South LA. The lead investor is California Freshworks Fund, which awarded Northgate Gonzales a $50,000 grant and $5.5 million in loans. Mayor Eric Garcetti helped celebrate the opening of a 3D ride at Universal Studios Hollywood that's based on the film franchise Despicable Me. The mayor and Universal Studios are hoping the army of yellow minions can help attract even more tourists to Los Angeles.
We're well on our way to our goal of 50 million visitors by 2020, and Universal is going to be responsible for half of that increase.
There's also a new play zone next to the ride that includes water and other interactive features. One of LA's city leaders is polishing his star as he gets set to appear on a soap opera. But it's all for the cause of LA's abandoned animals. Anna Marcos has more from the set of The Bold and the Beautiful.
That's right, Mr. Parks. Find your mark. It's lights, camera, action, and the TV soap opera The Bold and the Beautiful rolls out a new star. Councilmember Bernard Parks interacts with two of the show's characters, Liam Spencer and Hope Logan, as they adopt a pet at the South LA Animal Shelter in several upcoming episodes.
I hope we're just going to play it by ear. Myself. I just hope we just kind of wander through it and let him do a lot of splicing.
He was amazing. The councilman was so great to work with, and he answered our questions so beautifully.
Before you think the council member is about to change careers and abandon the city he represents, he's actually promoting it. Or at least, he's promoting the South LA Animal Shelter, which he helped get built with Prop F funds in a formerly blighted area.
Before this facility, the community would have to go to San Pedro or East LA or to 10th Avenue and Exposition. There were no services located in this immediate area, and so the community was somewhat abandoned.
The story on The Bold and the Beautiful highlights the plight of LA's abandoned pets and the critical services animal shelters provide, as the city aims to become a no-kill zone.
We are trying to spread awareness about the importance of animal shelters and how important it is for people to adopt animals.
By the way, Parks is no showbiz newcomer. He appeared on the sitcom Girlfriends, playing himself, and he was named one of People magazine's 50 most beautiful people in 1998. But for today, at least, it's a wrap, and it's back to the business of running the city, animal shelters included. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The Bold and the Beautiful storyline featuring Councilmember Parks is set to air on KCBS Channel 2 at 12:30 p.m. on April 30th, May 1st, and May 2nd. But make sure to check your local listings. In this week's list of things to do, Fiesta Broadway on Cinco de Mayo, the Brewery Art Walk, and music of the Mad Men era. If you watch Glee or if you watched 30 Rock, you'll know the star of TV and Broadway, Cheyenne Jackson. He'll be performing the music of the Mad Men era at the Walt Disney Concert Hall on Saturday, April 26th at 8 p.m. The concert will also feature special guests Jane Lynch and Rebecca Romaine. Cheyenne Jackson takes you back to a time when bossa nova was new, the lounges of Las Vegas were hip, and catchy dance music was spinning on every hi-fi. It will be an evening that'll have you swinging to the tunes of the 1950s and 60s. The Disney Concert Hall is located at 111 South Grand Avenue. For more information, visit laphil.com. While art walks have grown quite popular in the last few years, the Brewery Art Walk on Saturday and Sunday, April 26th and 27th, still stands out. Artists residing and working at the Brewery Industrial Buildings Complex have opened their studio or homes to the public every year, and most recently twice a year for 32 years. You will have the opportunity to see new works, speak with the artists, and purchase artwork directly from the artists' studios. Resident artists have been experimenting with 3D printing, LED lighting sculpture, as well as performance art, just to name a few mediums. The Brewery Arts Complex is located downtown at 2100 North Main Street, Unit A10. The walks take place from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. both days. Go to breweryartwalk.com for details. And the largest Cinco de Mayo celebration in the country takes place on Sunday, April 27th. The 25th annual Fiesta Broadway will feature both renowned and local Latino entertainment. Fiesta Broadway will take place along Broadway downtown around the streets of Grand Park and City Hall from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. An estimated 300,000 people are expected at the free event being billed the largest Hispanic event in the country's largest Hispanic market. Go to fiestabroadway.la. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. And in This Week in Tweets, we highlight some photos tweeted by the Los Angeles Zoo and Botanical Gardens. The LA Zoo is very active on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So if you ever need a little cheering up, the LA Zoo is a great source for cute animal pics. And last week, the zoo had some fun wishing its followers a happy Catterday at the zoo with a picture of this leopard. Then the next day, the zoo posted this Sloth Sunday picture asking folks to come hang with us. And the next day asking, do you know what day it is? The zoo wished everyone a Meerkat Monday. The zoo even got to make a wish come true when it hosted Max, a young man from Michigan's Make-A-Wish Foundation who wanted to hang out at a zoo with animal expert Jeff Corwin. The tweet accompanying this photo says, today his wish was granted at the LA Zoo. Well, for those of you with a need for speed, you're in luck because the Red Bull Rallycross race is coming to San Pedro, and some folks got an early preview of what's to come. Yana Kay has more.
Councilmember Joe Buscaino gets his heart pumping as he takes off in this race car in San Pedro.
It was fast, it was fun. My driver cut the apex, did a great job, and stayed on course. But at the end of the day, I'm back alive, and I can get home to my family safe and sound.
It was all part of the Red Bull Global Rallycross preview event, kicking off the 2014 race season, and drivers got a chance to test out their cars on the terrain before the race in September.
They're tons of fun to drive, and I really enjoy it.
Buscaino says the ultimate goal of the event is to highlight San Pedro and boost the local economy by bringing thousands of motorsports racing fans to the area.
To have a name brand like Red Bull come in and showcase the port is a win-win for the city, for the port, for the residents here in the harbor area.
The track set up here at the Port of Los Angeles' Outer Harbor is made up of dirt and asphalt, and small but fast cars go head-to-head in jumps and sprint-style races.
We've got a perfect, palette for a racetrack right here. Big open space, you got the water all around. I think the scenery is amazing. I mean, you got ships, industrial, it's a little bit of everything.
Some of the biggest names in motorsports will descend upon San Pedro during the two-day event and will surely keep fans on the edge of their seats. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
The Rally Cross race takes place September 19th to 20th at the southern end of Minor Street in San Pedro. And that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Oh, it's a little tight, but you know what?
Hello, I'm Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, and I want to tell you about some important changes to Social Security and Medicare benefits that might affect you. If you are an LGBT senior, Social Security may owe you money. Since the Supreme Court's landmark same-sex marriage ruling in June 2013, LGBT married couples may qualify for increased benefits under Social Security. These benefits relate to spousal benefits, disability benefits, family and children's benefits, and SSI. If you are married, thinking of getting married, and are 62 and above or approaching that age, don't leave your money on the table. This is money you've paid into the system. To learn more, contact the City of Los Angeles Department of Aging at 1-800-510-2020 or call 311 and they can connect you. It's easy to do and we can help. Remember, it's your money. Thank you.
G'day, Troy McCubbin from North Hollywood. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, April 23rd. Shh. And I'd like to welcome you to your Los Angeles City Council meeting. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., and our public is definitely welcome. Madam Clerk, I do believe we have a quorum and maybe a technical glitch or two. If you could we're still having I think we're working for right now. Patrice, if you could quickly call the roll.
Blumenfeld, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Huizar, Caress, Krikorian, Labange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Wesson. 12 members present. A quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Bonin moves, Huizar seconds. Next.
Committee resolutions for approval.
Parks moves, Martinez seconds. That brings us where? To our pledge?
Note since today is Wednesday, unless you want to do the pledge.
Oh, so we just skipped that? All righty. So, do we want to just run through the agenda?
Okay, first, Mr. President, there's a request to continue item 1I to May 2nd, 1P to May 14th, and items 1M, 48, and 51 to April 30th.
Okay, so without objection, that'll be the order.
Items 1 through 13 are items noticed for public hearing. The Department of Building and Safety reports that item 1L, O, Q, R, S, and T may be received and filed as much as the liens have been rescinded by the inspector, paid in full, or are owner-occupied single-family dwellings. Also, the Office of Finance reports that item 2C may be received and filed in as much as the tax lien has been resolved.
Okay, let's move forward with those. And also, can we receive and file item 5? So, any cards?
Cards on item 1.
Okay. Let's prepare to vote on the other items. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, let's move on to the next section on our agenda.
Items 14 through 45 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Specials members, items 14 through 45, I do not see any. I'm being told to hold 25. Item 25, we're going to have a substitute motion. I see Mr. Krikorian. Okay, next. So let's prepare to vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right, let's move on. 46 through 71.
Yes, items 46 through 71 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, these items are now before us. Mr. Parks.
62 special.
62 special per Mr. Parks. Ms. Martinez.
60 and 61 special.
61.
60 and 61.
60 and 61 for Ms. Martinez. 63 for Mr. Krikorian. Mr. Cedillo. 50? 56 for Mr. Cedillo.
Thank you.
Do we have cards?
Cards on items 49, 53, 55, 50, and 56.
Okay, let's prepare to vote on the remaining items. Let us open the roll. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, can we move on to, I guess it's items 72 through 74?
Yes, items 72 through 74 are closed session items. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. Items 72 through 74 have been considered by the Claims Board and the Budget and Finance Committee, and Budget Finance recommends approval of the City Attorney's recommendations for settlement. Unless members have questions that need to be heard in closed session, we can dispose of those matters in open session.
Okay, why don't we do that at this time, Madam Clerk? Let's take up those items.
Okay, for item 72, in the case entitled Alfina Boone and Dezilia Newman versus the City of Los Angeles, there's a recommendation to expend $120,000 in settlement. For item 73, in the case entitled Robert Teeter versus the City of Los Angeles, the recommendation is to adopt the City Attorney recommendations. And for item 74, in the case entitled Rudy Gonzalez versus the City of Los Angeles, there's a recommendation to expend $750,000 in settlement.
Okay, so let's members prepare to vote on these items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That brings us where, Madam Clerk?
Mr. President, that brings councils to presentations or items called special.
Mr. Koretz, would you like to proceed with your presentation? Let's quickly vote on reconsideration on item 51. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, and we're continuing that to May 3rd.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. While I take it as my duty as a member of this council to gratefully acknowledge and fiercely defend the earth for as many days as I can each year, we pick out April 22nd as our official Earth Day celebration, and we'll pretend that's today. We're just slightly off. I'm lucky enough to have in Council District 5 one of the most forward-thinking, forward-acting, incredibly bright green and sustainable universities on the planet. UCLA is literally a living laboratory for climate and sustainability research, where undergraduate, graduate, and professional students engage with staff and faculty to pilot new technologies and policies on the university campus. With 500 courses, 32 research centers, and 386 faculty involved in sustainability research and teaching across 65 departments, UCLA is creating the technology and training for leaders of tomorrow, including, by the way, my own environmental deputy, while leading by example in its own operations. A few quick specifics. UCLA will be the first major research university to reach carbon neutrality in 2025. Especially important during our drought, UCLA professor Yoram Cohen has developed a smart water desalination system that will be installed at the campus cogeneration plant this year and save 25 million gallons of water a year. And UCLA is working with the Bureau of Sanitation and DWP to evaluate the feasibility of a satellite wastewater treatment plant that would be a model for the city and save 144 million gallons of water a year. Lastly, back in November, I was proud to participate as my alma mater announced its grand challenge in sustainability. This major university-wide initiative focuses on moving the city of Los Angeles to 100% renewable energy and 100% local water by 2050. And while it will likely give Marcy Edwards and DWP heartburn, due to the extremely concerning new Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report, which says we must do so much more to address our greenhouse gas emissions, and we must do it now, I'm committed to our meeting that goal far sooner than 2050. Today I join Lee Wallach and his faith-based environmental protection group, Faith to Green, in presenting the award for Environmentalist of the Year to UCLA. In particular to those folks representing UCLA here today, Ann Carlson, Colleen Callahan, Kara Horowitz, Laurel Hunt, Nurit Katz, and representatives of the UCLA Sustainability Committee, Raymond Juarez, Patty Zimmerman, and Aliana Lungo Shapiro. One representative from UCLA will speak, and then if you all join me in the press room afterwards to receive individual certificates. So, Lee?
Thank you, Councilman Koretz. Thank all of you for having us today. I appreciate being here. We're trying to be here every Earth Day or the day after. I don't have to tell this crew about Earth Day. This city has been going in the right direction for some time. It really has been amazing what this city has done, what the council has done, what you around the Horseshoe have done. Though I think Englander would be glad to put his own home up to any of you. I think he's touted that he has the greenest home around the Horseshoe. So at some point, I'd like for Mitchell to throw down that gauntlet and really push all of you to have as green a home as he has. But you all are doing amazing stuff in each one of your districts. Paul is lucky enough to have UCLA, an amazing institution in his district. Now, I have to tell you, I'm a Trojan, so this pains me. Student body president, I sat on the Board of Governors. I've been getting a little bit of flack on this one, but I have to call it as I see it. UCLA has done more to help this city than almost any institution in the environmental realm. Every department, every unit of facilities, all the way up from the chancellor, all the way down to the students, and the other way around. UCLA is doing phenomenal work. They are impacting the city in ways that you just don't realize. We will spend this next year educating you and your staff on exactly what UCLA is doing, and so we look forward to that. And now I'd like to ask one of the bright stars from UCLA to come forward and tell you a little bit more, Nurit Katz.
Thank you, Lee. I just wanted to say a big thank you both to Faith to Green for honoring UCLA and to Councilman Paul Koretz as a constituent and also from UCLA. Just thank you so much for your support of environment and sustainability in the district and throughout the city. So council members, this really is a team effort, and there are a number of us representing UCLA today. We have Kara Horowitz and Ann Carlson, who are co-directors of the Emmett Center for Climate Change. We have Aliana Lungo-Shapiro, who is our Sustainability Manager for Housing. Colleen Callahan, who's the Deputy Director of the Luskin Center for Innovation. Laurel Hunt, who's a graduate student and Director of the Sustainable Resource Center. But this is just a fraction of the faculty, staff, and students from UCLA who are working so hard on these issues. The university recognizes that sustainability is a critical issue for us locally and also globally, and that it's also our responsibility and part of our mission as a public university to set an example. Through the Grand Challenge, we look forward to working with the city and also with the county and with the region to get us to 100% renewable energy and 100% local water by 2050. And I think that if we can show that it can be done here in this complex metropolis of Los Angeles, that it can be done anywhere. So thank you very much for recognizing the work and for all the work that you do.
Mr. Koretz, I have a colleague that would like to say a few words. Mr. Blumenfield.
Great. Thank you. I just wanted to add my voice of congratulations to Mr. Koretz. Thank you for bringing this up. I had to do it not only as a Bruin, knowing that UCLA is a bright beacon for environmental, let me rephrase, a solar-powered LED bright beacon for environmentalism. But I also had to stand up because Lee Wallach, who's been leading this effort, not just because I'm a former board member of Lee's related organization, COJL, and have been involved with you on so many issues. You've pushed the envelope on environmental issues, whether working on stuff with me in Sacramento on Israel MOU or all sorts of other things that we've done. You've used Faith to Green, and that organization has really helped push wonderful initiatives and continues to do so through this partnership. And I just wanted to congratulate you and thank you, Lee, for all that you do to make this happen. And thank you all for being here.
Let's give him a round of applause. Mr. Koretz.
And thank you, colleagues, for joining me in recognizing UCLA for all its great environmental leadership. And we look forward to working with them as we look to achieve the goals that they've set for Los Angeles by 2050. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Shall we make this presentation to UCLA?
Charlie.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we want to send forth with items 42, 54, and 59. Okay, we need to vote on reconsideration on item 69. Is that correct, Mr. Weezar? 69? Okay, so let's open the roll. Yeah. On reconsideration, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
I'm not sure we have our amended motion, so we can just
hold it. Let's hold it for a while. And on item 51, that continuance is not to May 3rd. It's to the 30th of this month. Let's take up item 49. We have a card. Mr. Walsh, John Walsh, item 49.
If I don't run, he starts my time ahead. He starts my time. I'm 70 years old. I have to run.
Speak to the item.
Okay, I won't speak towards your ageism. Okay, item 49. He didn't deny, incidentally, what I just said. Item 49, John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at this very moment at Hollywood Dems. Okay. Orlando Bloom, Hollywood Walk of Fame, great. But I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it is a shame you have allowed it to fall apart. The Hollywood Walk of Fame is a Hollywood shame. The people in charge of this, which is a state organization, it is not a city, the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It is not controlled by the city. It's by the state. People are falling. People are tripping. It's garbage. And you do nothing about it but sit up there with your middle finger planted up your brown eye. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Mr. Walsh, stay. We're going to item 55, called special by you.
Stay tuned for public comment. 55 is for gun buyback program. There is nothing we need more than gun buyback. You're not talking to some right-wing conservative. This city is full of guns. This city, just the other day, a black man was shot to death on Hollywood Boulevard. Did the cops find him? No, the Keystone cops didn't find him. I'm telling you, it's so bad that you take a look at Mr. Parks. One of his people who works in his office got caught the other day.
No, that has nothing to do with gun. Stay on the subject.
The subject is guns. The subject is shooting. I want you to buy back the gun that was used in the stick-up of Mr. Parks, which was by one of Mr. Parks' employees.
Let's just stay on the item.
You won't listen. HollywoodHighlands.org. 1 minute.
Okay, let's vote on this. You better stop disturbing the council. Let us prepare to vote on this. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, that brings us to Mr. Cedillo. Did you want to make an announcement or have an introduction? Or
yes.
So the floor is yours, sir.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. I want to talk about population of the city, 60% who are renters. and I want to talk about the important role that they play in our city and our community. Both renters and landlords are investors in the city. This city, the second largest, third richest in the world, most important for the future of this nation, is a city of renters. And so I thought it was appropriate as the chair of housing that we acknowledge them, we acknowledge their role. Mr. President, let me say to you that we are at a moment of crisis. We are in jeopardy of losing an incredible amount, an extraordinary amount of housing stock for the poor, but not just for the poor, for the entirety of the city. We are in a housing crisis. We are not building sufficient housing stock at every level. Market rate, the poor, the homeless, the veterans, special needs, college graduates, new workforce. We simply cannot do enough to support development of housing and to ensure that every Angelino has a right to quality housing and quality services in the city, to affordability. And so we wanted to take advantage of our position as the chair. We had an incredible hearing before the break. We spent 3+ hours discussing the crisis that confronts us, and we wanted to follow that up by showing you the faces of renters. When I walked in, I saw all the bright T-shirts, and one of my colleagues came up and said, when we see T-shirts in the room, we think you must have an item on the agenda, and indeed we do have an item on the agenda. We're going to hear from some of the voices that represent renters in the city, but I also...
Mr. Cedillo-Gore.
I also want to be very clear that you don't have renters without landlords, and you don't have landlords without renters. And I am both, and so I'm sensitive to both positions, and I'm sensitive to the necessity of addressing this crisis for both parties, and I think it's important for this city to take that leadership and that initiative, and so I thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, so let's hear from Maria Gomez, James Porter, and Maria Menza. Please, general public comment. Please come forward. And whoever gets there first can just speak.
Hello, buenos días. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. So if you could just...
Oh, somebody? Okay, thank you.
Me van a traducir, entonces
Sí.
solo que dé tiempo para que ellos se digan, hablen
Cuando
después.
ya. Okay.
Gracias. Yeah. Go ahead. Hello. Adelante, señora, por favor.
Muy buenos días a todos.
Good morning,
Mi nombre
everyone.
es María Gómez.
My name is Maria Gomez.
Soy miembro de ASE.
I am a member of ASEC.
Yo soy una inquilina por 35 años viviendo en el sur central de Los Ángeles.
I have been a renter for 35 years living in South Central Los Angeles.
Está bien que estén construyendo mucha vivienda
It is
en
good that you're
nuestras
building
comunidades,
many more homes in our communities.
pero estas viviendas, la mayoría son para familias ricas.
But this housing, the majority of them are for rich people.
Son viviendas de lujo. Nosotros necesitamos que se construyan más viviendas en nuestra comunidad para familias de bajos recursos.
These are deluxe homes. We need for you to build more homes that are at the reach of those of us who have low income.
Ha habido demasiados desalojos en nuestra comunidad
There have been too many evictions in our community.
y por causa de que se están construyendo viviendas de lujo,
And because
han
you're
sido-
building rich housing,
muchas familias han sido reemplazadas.
many families have been evicted.
Necesitamos hacer algo.
We need to do something.
Nosotros lo que necesitamos es de que se invierta, sí está bien, buenas inversiones en este momento.
What we need for you to do is to do some sound investments. Yes, that is good that you invest soundly at this moment.
pero se necesita invertir más también en la vivienda económica para que nuestras familias no sean reemplazadas en nuestra comunidad.
So you also need to invest in affordable housing so our families are not displaced from their community.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Next. Identify yourself, please. Your name.
Buenos días. Mi nombre es María Mesa
My name is Maria Mesa,
y vengo representando a la Unión de Vecinos.
and I'm here representing the Union of Neighbors.
Soy una inquilina por más de 35 años
I have been a renter for over 35 years,
y estamos pidiendo que de veras se implemente el Día del Inquilino.
and we are asking that you truly implement the
Porque
Day
si-
of the Renter
Si somos la mayoría,
Because if we're the
merecemos
majority,
que se
we
nos
deserve-
reconozca.
to be recognized.
Merecemos tener una vivienda,
We deserve to have
Justa.
housing that is just,
una vivienda accesible
a accessible housing,
y que no se nos estén desalojando porque nuestros niños son los que van a sufrir por eso.
and that you do not evict us because it is our children who are suffering due to that.
Nosotros queremos que los concejales implementen ese día
We need for the council on that day
y que sigan trabajando con nosotros, que nos sigan apoyando.
and that they continue working for us, that they continue to give us their support.
Y necesitamos que se nos tomen en cuenta como la mayoría que somos.
And that you take us into consideration and into account because we are the majority.
Gracias a los concejales por trabajar en nuestra unión.
Thanks to all the
por
council members for
apoyarnos.
working with our union and for supporting us.
Buenos días.
Good day.
Thank you. Please, no applause, no applause.
Muy buenos días.
Good morning.
Mi nombre es María Perales
My name is Maria
y
Perales,
yo vengo representando a la organización Trust South LA.
and I'm representing the organization Trust South LA.
Yo soy inquilina en el sur centro de Los Ángeles por
I'm a
22
renter
años
in South Central LA for 22 years.
y lamentablemente en el año 2010
Unfortunately, in 2010,
tuve la mala experiencia de ser desalojada,
I had the bad experience of being evicted,
en el cual fui desalojada con mis 4 hijos.
I was evicted with my 4 children.
Yo vivía en un dúplex en donde la dueña vivía enfrente.
I lived in a duplex where the owner lived right in front,
Y ella no me había notificado que la casa ya la había perdido y yo seguía pagando renta.
and she had not notified me that she had lost the house, and so I can't continue paying rent.
Al último momento, en el último mes, fue cuando ella me dijo que la casa la había perdido y tenemos que desalojar en un mes.
At the last minute, on the last month, is when she told me that she had lost the house and that we had to leave the house within that last month.
Entonces, lo primero que pensé, ¿qué voy a hacer con mis 4 hijos?
So the first thing I thought about was, what am I going to do with my 4
No
children?
contaba con el suficiente dinero que el banco pedía para yo no ser desalojada,
I did not have the money that the bank was asking for in order not to be evicted,
para poder pagar otra renta.
in order to pay another rent.
Con todo lo que piden de depósito y todo eso, yo no contaba con ese dinero.
With everything that they asked for the deposit and everything else, I did not have that money.
Aparte, no encontraba una rentas que fueran económicas y accesibles para mí.
Besides, I could not find any rents that were economical, that were accessible for me.
Y en algunas rentas, en algunas viviendas, tenían límites de personas que podían ser parte de esa renta.
And some housing had a limit as to the people that could move into that
O
house.
simplemente no aceptaban niños.
Or they just simply did not accept children.
En mi caso, como yo soy miembro de Trust South LA, y ellos supieron cómo guiarme.
In my case, because I am a member of Trust South LA, they were able to guide me.
Me dirigieron para con otras organizaciones en las cuales me ayudaron y no fui desalojada y me estuve por 3 meses más en esa vivienda sin encontrar otro lugar.
So they were able to guide me correctly through the right organization, and I was able to stay for another 3 months without being evicted.
Y ese fue mi caso, lamentablemente, en el caso de otras personas, no saben sus derechos.
That was my case. Unfortunately, in other people's cases, they don't know their rights.
Y que lamentablemente lo único que pasa es que se van y se refugian en un lugar o simplemente viven en la calle, o se van a vivir a la calle.
So the only thing that happens, unfortunately, is that they go be with someone or they end up living in the street.
Por eso esperamos que nuestros funcionarios electos
That's why we need our
en la
elected
alcaldía,
officials
en la alcaldía que continúen trabajando con los inquilinos para asegurar que esta declaración se convierta en política exigible.
that our officials at the county level continue to work so that these declarations become an effective policy
Exigible para los inquilinos de Los Ángeles. Muchas gracias y feliz día.
for the renters of LA. Thank you very much.
Thank
Good day.
you. No applause, no applause.
No aplaudan,
Please.
por favor, no aplaudan.
Please, no applause. Mr. Porter, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Mr. West. Good morning. I'm going to say my name anyway. Good morning. Oops.
Go ahead, man.
Okay.
Go
Good
ahead.
morning. My name is James Porter. I am a renter. I am part of the majority. I live in downtown LA in the Skid Row community. I want to ask everyone who is here in support of LA renters to stand up. City
Stand
Council.
up if you're here in support of Mr. Porter and the renters of LA.
Thank you.
Go on.
City Councilman, you too stand up. Stand up if you are ready to work with us to take on LA housing crisis. I ask you to stand too. Thank you. You heard from everybody this morning why it is so urgent that you take action on behalf of us. As a renter, I want to also raise up that there are another 50,000 or so Angelenos without any housing at all, who need to be sure can join the renters majority. In fact, there is a project in my community, on my block, on Main Street, that can create opportunity for almost 400 homeless residents to become renters. We need your leadership on projects like this, as well as better renter protection. We are here in solidarity today for low-income tenants, middle-income tenants, and homeless residents. We want you to show you our growth and strength and ensure your accountability to us. This declaration is a symbol of your support. Between now and next year, Renters Day, LA, we know we are going to have more than just a symbol. We must have enforceable policy guided by this declaration, and you must take action to pass them. Renters make LA work. Let's make LA work for renters.
Thank you. Thank you. If we could please, no applause. Miss Gonzalez, Bridget Gonzalez. Bridget, is that you? Okay. Floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Bridget Gonzalez, and I'm a landlord here in the city of Los Angeles, and I am absolutely for renters' rights and Renters' Day. Thank you for this day. Landlords like myself, small landlords rely and depend on renters here in the city of LA. Without them, we can't build this city to be the great city that it is. I also want to give prompts and also an important note that one of the major agencies here that actually helps defend tenants in the city of Los Angeles is the Eviction Defense Network. Without them, tenants would have no place to go to be able to fight landlords who actually don't care. One of the things that I find absolutely abolishing is this gentrification that is happening all over the city. Without agencies and organizations such as the ones that are behind me, there would be no place for renters to go to. So I'm actually incredibly proud to be a part of this, day, and also landlords like myself, we care about what happens. Small landlords like myself, we care about our tenants, we care about the city, and we hope to see the city council will strengthen rent control to help tenants in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all so very much for coming down. Okay, at this time, we need to vote on items 59 and 65 for reconsideration. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right. And now we want to go to Mr. Cedillo. Is it item 56? I believe it's one of your items. If we could get Mr. Walsh to come forward on item 56.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Renter in the city of Los Angeles since 1976. Okay, this is item 56. This concerns health care. The Senate bill to expand access to health care coverage regardless of immigration status. I know there are people up here who despise immigrants, particularly Mr. Kokori.
No, just stay on the subject.
The subject is why I am asking you to vote. We are all immigrants. We are all immigrants from somewhere else. Even the animals came from someplace else. Even the trees came from someplace else. Okay? The only thing that was here a million years ago was the volcanoes. They're the only Californians. 100% for all immigrants' rights. HollywoodHighlands.org. Venceremos.
Mr. Cedillo.
Members, in March of 2010, we were all excited when the President signed the Affordable Care Act. We were all excited because we were joining the community of nations in providing an ability for all our citizens to have access to health care. Unfortunately, though, that Affordable Care Act had an asterisk. As we know, compromise is part of the political process, and compromise is the way in which we go forward. But unfortunately, as too often is the case, immigrants were left out of this process. Not only were they left out, but they were explicitly left out. And so, as a result of the hysteria, of the anti-immigrant xenophobia that exists, immigrants who can buy homes, businesses, cars, and auto insurance are legally prohibited from buying health insurance. As we try to become part of the community of nations that provides health care for all its residents, we signed and put into practice a law that prohibits the purchase of health care. Think of how irrational this is. The purchase of health care by immigrants. Now, this is the worst of public policy because we know that regardless of your immigration status, people get sick. And regardless of your immigration status, you have to be cared for. And so we have a choice. We can do it in a way that's affordable, that's accessible, that makes sense, that's moral, or we can do so in a way that we've done so with the ACA, exclude immigrants, force them into emergency rooms, raise the cost for all of us, and increase human suffering. That was a poor choice that was made in Washington, but the good news is that here in California, under the leadership of Ricardo Lara, we have SB 1005, which will expand access to health care for all of California's residents, regardless of their immigration status. I call upon you and upon us, the city, with the greatest amount of undocumented migrants, the greatest amount of immigrants, a city founded by immigrants, that we raise our voice as the most important city in this state and support SB 1005 by State Senator Ricardo Lara. Ask for its support. Let the governor and the legislature hear that here in Los Angeles, we believe in health care for all. And when we say all, it's not with an asterisk that excludes the immigrant community. I thank you for your consideration.
Mr. Bonin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Cedillo, I just want to rise to support you in this and to support Senator Laura in this motion. I cannot be more enthusiastically in support of this proposal. The way the federal government has handled this issue is both illogical from a financial perspective and just flatly immoral from a human perspective. This bill is the right thing to do. It is a right opportunity for California to address a big wrong from our nation's capital. If you go to Sacramento to lobby for this bill, it would be my pleasure to join you and stand by your side.
Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Krikorian, are you ready with your presentation? Then we'll defer to you at this time.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It's my great honor as the first Armenian American ever elected to public office in the history of the city of Los Angeles to be here once again to commemorate the anniversary of the commencement of the Armenian Genocide, which began on April 24th, 1915, 99 years ago. And many ask, why after 99 years? Is it important that we continue to come together as a community, as a country, people throughout the world in recognizing the Armenian Genocide after so long? And of course, all of us know that the obvious answer to that is that the Armenian Genocide was the first, but certainly not the last, genocide of the 20th century. And the occurrence of the atrocities that happened beginning in 1915 that led to the death of 1,500,000 innocent men, women, and children who had committed no offense other than to be the members of an ethnic group and members of a particular faith. Their death opened the door to atrocities that would continue to occur throughout the remainder of the 20th century and sadly continue to occur in parts of the world even as we stand and speak here today. But the Armenian Genocide is also unique among genocides in that throughout that 99-year history of remembrance, the perpetrators of the genocide continue to deny that it occurred, continue to deny their culpability, and continue to evade justice for the crimes that they committed. So the importance of our remembrance is in reminding, not only demanding justice for what occurred in the past, but reminding ourselves that if there is no justice for crimes like this, they are guaranteed to continue to occur. As Martin Luther King said, a threat to, or an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, and there can be no greater example, I think, than the death of 1.5 million people without consequences. But we remember those facts every year. This year, I'd like to take a little bit different approach in our remembrance, because while there has been 99 years of denial by the Turkish government and many of their supporters, there was no question as the genocide was occurring or in its immediate aftermath. There was certainly no question in this country of what was going on, who was perpetrating it, and how severe these atrocities were. In September of 1915, for example, U.S. Ambassador Henry Morgenthau cabled to President Woodrow Wilson that they were witnessing an atrocity that was unprecedented in modern human history, and that, as Ambassador Morgenthau wrote, the destruction of the Armenian race in Turkey is rapidly progressing. Well, our president took notice of that. And within 2 weeks after receiving that cable, President Wilson formed the American Committee for Armenian and Syrian Relief, which was soon to be renamed Near East Relief. And the point of this was to raise philanthropy to be able to assist those who were enduring the unendurable, enduring things that were unimaginable in the modern world. And America answered that call. Within the first 15 years of formation of Near East Relief, that organization raised $117 million at a time when bread sold for a nickel a loaf. That's the equivalent of almost $3 billion today. It was by far the most important, biggest, most widespread philanthropic effort that the people of the United States had ever engaged in up to that point. The efforts of the American people in supporting Near East Relief fed, clothed, housed, and cared for over 100,000 orphans in over 400 facilities in the region. Over 1,000 U.S. volunteers went to the area to help. And indeed, after the effort was at its peak, President Calvin Coolidge wrote that Near East Relief received its support from all our people and was endorsed by Congress and all our presidents throughout its history. And in its widely extended work of life and child saving, it represented the true spirit of our country. It clothed the naked, fed the starving, and provided shelter, care, and practical schooling for more than 130,000 fatherless waifs left as a wreckage from the Great War. No private enterprise ever undertaken by Americans and in the name of America has accomplished more to arouse in the minds and hearts of all the peoples of the countries in which this organization has carried on its operations a sincere regard and even affection for America. Now, at that time, Los Angeles was coming of age as one of the great cities of America. We had boomed in population from just 100,000 in 1900 to, by 1930, 1 million people. We'd arrived on the global stage and on the American stage. And this was the first effort in which Los Angeles engaged in global philanthropy. And we can all be proud that our city has had a long and storied history of helping people throughout the world in the decades since. Our philanthropic and social and service organizations like the YMCA and the Kiwanis Club stepped up. The YMCA, which had been established here since the late 19th century, played a national role in Near East Relief, and so did the Kiwanis, which was just established here in Los Angeles in 1917 and immediately jumped into the effort. Ordinary Angelinos joined as well. There was a woman named Nanny Stockton, for example, who had lost both hands in a childhood accident, but still found a way to sew clothing without hands to donate to the orphans and survivors of the Armenian genocide. And you'll see Nanny's picture up here in a moment. But most notably, perhaps, Hollywood stepped up. At that time, Jackie Coogan, who many of you might know from his role in The Addams Family. At that time, he was one of the world's biggest child stars. And Jackie Coogan led a global effort, well, he led an effort throughout this country, certainly, to to enlist the children of America to help the children of Armenia. And so he traveled throughout the country, raised funds, collected contributions of milk and clothing, and loaded them onto his own special train, which traveled across the country and then loaded up a ship. He called it his $1 million milk ship, and that ship then sailed across the ocean to save the lives of people in the Near East. And you see in the slides up here many examples of the people who were participating here in Los Angeles in that great effort. It spread throughout Hollywood, and you see right here some of the stars of Hollywood at the time who were enjoying what they called a Golden Rule dinner. And the Golden Rule dinners became a very popular enterprise at the time, and the idea was that instead of going out to a lavish meal like Hollywood stars would normally do, and even some ordinary folks might do on a Sunday, they would instead eat a bowl of bread and rice and drink milk and cocoa like the orphans in the orphanages would. And then they would donate the money that they saved from those dinners to Near East Relief in order to help those in need. So the result of these efforts, this collective effort of our great city and its philanthropic spirit, was that a nation was saved. and over 100,000 orphans, 1 million people who survived the atrocities. And here you see orphans at the largest orphanage at the time in the world, in Gyumri, forming the word saved, thanks to the effort of Near East Relief. And because of their work, the Armenian nation survived, and the Armenian diaspora was formed, and Los Angeles has since become the home to the largest Armenian diasporan community anywhere in the world, thanks to the effort of this city and to the country that came to the aid of people in great need. So it's a great pleasure to be able to, as we recognize and remember the genocide, to also recognize the victory over the genocide that the survivors realized thanks to the help of people right here in the city of Los Angeles. And as a result of those efforts, we have a vibrant, thriving Armenian diaspora, and I'm joined by the leaders of the Armenian community who lead that community here in Los Angeles today. And I'm very proud to be able to recognize all of those who've come to participate today. We have with us Artak Galastian, the Deputy Consul General of the Republic of Armenia, Reverend Father Avadis Abovian and Yesai Bedros from the Western Diocese of the Armenian Church, the Very Reverend Father Bogos Tingchan, Archpriest Viken Vasilian, and Reverend Gevont Kirazian from the Western Prelacy of the Armenian Church, Elena Satrian and Oshin Hartunyan from the Armenian National Committee of America, and importantly, all of the members of the America We Thank You Committee who so carefully researched the history of our city's engagement in this unprecedented relief effort.
So, Mr. Krikorian, if you could just pause, could we please give them a round of applause? Thank you so very much. Thank you for coming. Just thank you so very much. And that was a very informative presentation, Mr. Krikorian. The floor is yours again.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm very pleased to be able to recognize those efforts. First, we have certificates for representatives of Kiwanis International here in Los Angeles and the YMCA here in Los Angeles as a thank you for the efforts engaged in by their predecessors, and that they continue to the efforts that they continue to engage in today in service to the people of Los Angeles and our country. To Kiwanis, congratulations and thank you very much. Thank you for your great efforts. And the Y is represented by our good friend George Cycli. George, thank you for being here, and I'm pleased to present you with the certificate as well. And representing the efforts of Hollywood, and particularly child star Jackie Coogan, we're pleased to have with us Jackie Coogan's grandson, who will be accepting a certificate to Jackie Coogan posthumously. With my great thanks.
Very much.
Thank you so much. And also, I just want to really recognize that he really did play a small part. He was a very young man, and he turned to his father and said, "Daddy, we need to do something to help." And father said, "Well, yes, as a young boy of privilege, I think you should see what's happening in the world." And in a few short years, Hollywood came together and raised millions. I thank you for honoring him, all of Hollywood, all of California. It was really the children that came together. He led the Children's Crusade of Care, and those milk trains and the steam barges they took over seas. It was just a small part. Everybody came together. There's many people in this room that are perhaps survivors, and that's what we look to, is all of the help that came, the establishment of Near East Relief, and I thank you for the acknowledgement.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. If I may, we're also joined by our City Controller, Ron Galprin, and of course my colleague Mitchell O'Farrell, who represents Little Armenia in the 13th District. So I'm pleased to have them both here with me as well, and I think they might like to say a few brief words as well.
Mr. Controller, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, Mr. President. Thank you so much, Councilmember Krikorian, Councilmember O'Farrell, distinguished guests. I'll begin by saying, Barev Sirele Hayer. Hello to all of the Armenian community. The members of this august chamber are accustomed to coming together regularly to discuss, to engage in debate. But actually, we're here at this very moment not to do that. Because we're not here to debate or to even discuss, not to question even, but rather to assert and to assert absolute fact. For nearly 1 century ago, 1.5 million Armenians perished in a genocide. That's 1.5 million innocent people who were ruthlessly murdered. Fact. For me, the Armenian genocide is actually very personal, because I'm the son of a survivor of the Holocaust that happened in Europe. My father was one of the very lucky ones who got out and survived. Not true for a lot of the rest of his family. So this is something personal for me and for all of our family, because we believe that there is an obligation to recognize evil and the evil of these events, not just to say never again, but to take action and make sure that such genocide, such murder, in fact, never does happen again. After all, we cannot bring back those who have unfortunately perished, but we do have the ability and we have the obligation to keep their memories alive. We can stand together and we can assert the truth. We can assert the facts. And that is an important factor in making sure these things never happen again. I'd like to close by really saluting all of the Armenian community here in the Los Angeles area for the incredible vibrancy which you bring and for the incredible culture which you have brought to Los Angeles, this capital of the Armenian diaspora, and for all of the great things that you bring to our city of Los Angeles and to its diversity. And let us hope and let us pray that by coming together, that we will in fact, in the not too distant future, have a time where everybody recognizes the fact of the Armenian genocide, such that in fact such things never do happen again. Thank you.
Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President, and Mr. Krikorian for this remarkable slice of history about the genocide, the diaspora, and its connection to Hollywood. I, for one, cannot even imagine the community of Hollywood without the Armenian community. It's so interwoven into the fabric of what Hollywood is. It is one of the main components that makes Hollywood so very special. I am deeply proud and honored to represent the 13th District that, as Mr. Krikorian mentioned, has one of the largest populations outside of Armenia, and it is the only designated Armenian community in the United States, so-called Little Armenia. This is a very personal issue for me as well on the 99th anniversary commemoration of the tragedy that was the genocide. As a descendant of a Native American tribe called the Wyandots from the Great Lakes area, on my mother's side, through forced relocation by the American government in the 1800s, and tens of thousands of Native Americans were lost through disease, famine, breaking apart of families. Somehow, some way, my descendants ended up in Northeast Oklahoma. I, in turn, many decades later, am standing here as an elected representative in the Los Angeles City Council. I feel a very personal connection just through my ancestry of what populations who have been oppressed, suffered a racial genocide, to be able to stand on the shoulders of my ancestors and play a role such as I am playing on the Los Angeles City Council. And I also want to say that it's very, very easy to forget. Growing up, that was an abstract notion for me, the fact that I descended from Native Americans who suffered from forced relocation. And I feel very, I think it's a responsibility that we have to survive something like this through our ancestors who maybe didn't survive and weren't so fortunate. We have an obligation to do all we can to make sure that tragedies like this never happen again, ever. And I want to really commend the Armenian community for keeping this memory alive in all of us because it is what brings out the best in all of us. So I'm very honored to stand here today as part of this presentation. Thank you.
And Mr.
Thank you, Mr.
O'Farrell, just as an aside, the tribe that from your ancestors was moved from the Ohio Valley all the way to Oklahoma. So, Mr. Krikorian, I have another member on the board or that wants to say something, or do you want to? How do you want to do it?
If I could just make one more presentation, if I could, and then I'm happy to hand it over to members, Mr. President. Obviously, all of us, of whatever background, feel a sense of connection to this sort of experience that the Armenian people have endured, and this is an international human issue. It's not necessarily an Armenian issue, but the Armenian people have a special obligation in passing down the torch of knowledge and ensuring that future generations continue to remember what happened to our ancestors. And that sense of responsibility is taken very seriously by everyone here who's standing behind me and all of us in our community. And I want to recognize a gentleman as kind of a sterling example of fulfillment of that responsibility. Hagop Manjikian was born in 1924, and he grew up in a place that has been much in the news lately. Many of you have heard about Kesab, which is in Syria, and it was an Armenian town in Syria for many hundreds of years until it was just recently overrun by Islamist forces who had crossed the Turkish border, and all of the Armenians of the village fled, including members of Mr. Manjikian's family, his elderly brother, and many other members of his family. Mr. Manjikian has been a pillar in our community for many decades. He was one of the leaders who was responsible for the very first Armenian Martyrs Monument in the United States, which was built in Fresno, and he spearheaded the creation of the Armenian Martyrs Monument in Montebello, which many of you have been to on April 24th. He's been recognized by the Catholicos of all Armenians, Aram I, who endowed Mr. Manjikian with a medal for his service to the people. And perhaps most importantly, this year Mr. Manjikian published the 5th volume of his Armenian Genocide Library series of survivor memoirs, so that the survivors of the genocide will continue to have a voice for generations still to come and be able to teach all of us about what they experienced, what they endured in order to survive, and we can all continue to draw lessons from those histories that Mr. Manjikian is responsible for publishing. And so, on behalf of the City Council, Mr. Manjikian, I'd like you to present you with this certificate of recognition for all of your many years of loyal service to our community and to our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I say a few words? Briefly. I'm here with my wife, Kanar, to present these 6 volumes of published by us on Genocide Library. We're all sons and daughters of orphans who were orphaned in 1915, and now we want to place these in city library so the world, the Armenians and the Americans, know what happened in 1915 to a Christian nation called Armenia. I thank the opportunity, and I give this to Mr. Krikorian to place it in City Library. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President, very much. And members, thank you very much for your indulgence. I know this was a long presentation, but it's needless to say of great importance to our community, and I think to all who care about justice and making sure that we stop man's inhumanity to man. So it's a pleasure for me to present to the Armenian community on behalf of the City Council this resolution commemorating the 99th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, signed by every member of the City Council. And I'm going to present this to our representatives of the community collectively because there are many here. So thank you, members, very much for your indulgence, and thank you, community, for coming here to join us today.
If I could call on Mr. Bloomingfield, Mr. Krikorian. Mr. Bloomingfield.
Great. Thank you very much, and I know I'll be brief, but I just wanted to say, I mean, I've been involved for many years in terms of trying to seek recognition on the federal level and the state level, but I felt it feels different this year because this past summer, I was given the great opportunity to go to Armenia, and with Paul, with Ellen, and others, and really see it. And I just can't describe. I don't have the words. You know, when you walk through the Armenian Genocide Museum and you see the pieces of history that are being pulled together because after the genocide, the community was forced into the diaspora, and you get a sense that this genocide was not only horrific for the lives that it took and the 1.5 million souls and their descendants that will never walk this earth, but also the other impacts on the history and the culture. And it is so evident and was so moving when I went there that I felt that I just had to add my voice to this to let you know that I really appreciate you bringing forward this commemoration where we are remembering, and then we all know it's important, but I feel it in a new way, and the depths of my soul, and I really appreciate that experience and appreciate the fact that we're remembering it today, and we need to remember it in perpetuity. So thank you.
Mr. Koretz.
Mr. President. I mean, this is always a difficult and painful thing even to contemplate, and we all know how many people died and how horrifically, but it's more painful because it's not the only genocide. And we said after the Holocaust, never again, but sometimes I feel like it's never again until the next one. And we still face the ongoing problems in Darfur, and we need to continue to remember these terrible tragedies to make sure that they're not repeated. And in some way, the greatest tragedy is the ongoing denial of this genocide in the first place. And there isn't the same anger towards Germany, even though we had a terrible Holocaust, because the next generations have acknowledged it and worked hard to make sure it's not repeated. And it's hard for me to understand why Turkey continues to deny that this happened to this day, rather than just let it take its place in history and make sure that it's not repeated. So I think it's very important that we continue to fight to have this acknowledged by the entire world, including Turkey, and so that we make it less likely that we continue to repeat this kind of tragedy. So I thank you all for being here. I think it's so important. I've been active in this issue for a number of years. I've sponsored remembrances even way back when I was on the West Hollywood City Council, and did legislation relating to curriculum on all genocides, and particularly the Armenian Genocide and the Holocaust. So I join with you in this remembrance and look forward to continuing to fight this battle until all nations recognize that this took place.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. Mr. Huizar.
Thank you very much. And I just wanted to acknowledge our colleague, Mr. Krikorian. I recall when you were a state legislator, you actually would come visit us on this day, and you would give some impassioned speeches, as you still do, and it shows how much you care about this and how much you want the world to know about this important event that happened and the events that happened. So you've done a wonderful job educating all of us. I always listen intently to this presentation because, in fact, it is an educational experience for myself learning about this. And I want to just encourage you, as all the Armenian communities continue to do, to continue to talk about this, educate all of us. As you mentioned, this is a fabric that covers all of us. And we've all, no matter where we come from, have some experience in our backgrounds as to something similar to this. Some not as tragic at this, but certainly you're educating all of us in a very good way. I enjoyed today's presentation. I look forward to continue to learn about this, as all of us should. Again, Mr. Krikorian, thank you so much, and congratulations, really, on being the first Armenian elected in the city of Los Angeles. That speaks volumes, and you're doing a great job representing the Armenian community here. Thank you so much.
And thank you. Mr. Krikorian, thank you. Mr. Galpin, thank you. Mr. O'Farrell, and your leadership in the community, thank you, all of you today. And I have one more here, Ms. Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, or I should say good morning. I'm very proud to represent the growing Armenian community in Sun Valley. I've only been elected now for 9 months, but I think some of our Armenian families are moving into Sun Valley, Mr. Krikorian, so not to say that they're leaving your district, but they do live across in my cul-de-sac and across from my home, so I'm very proud to represent them. On the school board, we did a number of things working with young people and teaching them tolerance. I remember in particular some of the things that were going on at Grant High School several years ago, and what we needed to do to not only increase awareness, but also teach our young people the importance of having, of learning of each other's history between the Latino community and the Armenian community, and that was very important. And we're still learning lessons from what happened at Grant High School, but I was very proud to support those efforts on the school board, and I continue to extend my hand and anything I can do to help to extend those relationships between the Latino community and the Armenian community, particularly in my district. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Ms. Martinez, and you'll be pleased to know that I was speaking to an Armenian Genocide Assembly at Grant High School this morning, and there were students there from every race and ethnicity listening intently together as one student body, thanks in large measure to the leadership that you demonstrated in helping to bring them together. So I want to thank you for that very much. Thank you, members.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Item number 60 for Ms. Martinez. I do have cards afterwards. $60, $61, okay, Mr. City Attorney, to take together?
Are we going to speakers first?
What's your pleasure?
Let me just start us off, if you may. Thank you very much. Today I'm proud to stand in support of Denim Day with my colleagues, council members Bonin and O'Farrell. Too often people think of Denim Day as just about women, but it's more than just a women's issue. Denim Day is about consent. As a councilwoman, I've seen firsthand how women, children, and families are victimized when consent is not considered. And you've often heard me in this council talk about the sex trafficking issues facing our communities, particularly my council district. But it's not just about sex trafficking. 1 out of 6 American women will be victims of an attempt or complete rape. But only 3 out of every 100 rapists will ever spend any time in jail. If we want our children to grow up safe and happy, it's important that we teach them the importance of consent in a healthy relationship. I am so proud to see so many of my colleagues and their staffs dressing in support of rape victims everywhere. While this action may not stop rape everywhere, it will show victims that they're not alone and that we stand in solidarity with them. Thank you very much. And we have our guests here from Peace Over Violence. Thank you very much, ladies, for coming. And
Thank you.
You can speak.
I really wanted to
And
thank
for the
this.
record, if you just introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Emily Austin. I'm the Director of Policy at Peace Over Violence. And for 15 years, LA City Council has recognized Denim Day and Sexual Assault Awareness Month in April. And Los Angeles is our flagship city on this issue. 15 years ago, Denim Day started when a judge overturned convicted rape because the woman's jeans were too tight. His judicial reasoning was that if the jeans were too tight, she must have helped take them off, and thus she consented to the rape, and he overturned the conviction. The women of the Italian parliament wore jeans in protest, and that caught on in California, and Los Angeles Patty Giggins, our executive director, brought it to California, Los Angeles, and Sacramento. It's been a wonderful 15 years of growing momentum, and this year, Guess Incorporated has become a partner and corporate sponsor on Denim Day, and just made a commitment to bring Denim Day to Italy next year as well, to have it come full circle. So we're very excited to have this megaphone loudspeaker moment to talk about sexual assault and make it part of our educational system, part of the toolkit that every kid, every adult needs. It should be in every backpack, every briefcase, every portfolio, every toolbox. Everyone should know how to prevent and respond to sexual violence. I want to give our youth leader, Andrea, a moment to speak a little bit about the impact of this awareness campaign on her life. Andrea.
Hello and good morning. My name is Andrea Perez. I'm 18 years old and I am a student at Whittier College. I've been involved with Peace Over Violence for almost 2 years now. While I was still in high school, I noticed that my friends were in abusive relationships that was both verbal and physical. I had friends that were being abused and were the abusers. As a Girl Scout, I did my Girl Scout Gold Award project on healthy teen relationships. I collaborated with Peace Over Violence and held workshops in my high school and across my community. This past summer, I was a youth intern with Peace Over Violence. Through the Peace Over Violence Summer Institute, I collaborated with other youth leaders, created the Make a Choice campaign, wrote songs about advocacy, and learned skills that would allow me to advocate against sexual abuse and violence. Now that I am in college, I'm aware that I am at a higher risk of sexual abuse and rape. Because of what I've learned through Peace Over Violence, I have the skills and knowledge that I need to advocate for myself and others around me. I can recognize signs of unhealthy relationships and abuse and provide resources to help others. Incidents occur on college campuses all the time. I want to thank you for supporting Peace Over Violence and the Denim Day campaign. It makes me really happy to see, people becoming involved in the campaign and seeing the campaign grow more and more every year. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So important message. And we have students from Milliken Middle School who would love this message too. Let's hear it from Milliken Middle School right there. Good job. I do have one comment card from Mr. Walsh.
Thank you. A pleasure to speak before you. John Walsh, HollywoodHighlands.org. I live in the rape capital of the world. That's Hollywood. I get crime mapping LA every day, 2-mile radius of Capitol Records. Last week we had 2 rapes on Hollywood Boulevard. The one before that, another rape. And I want you to understand the difference. This isn't some animal. This isn't some ugly, ugly beast raping a woman. These are known as Don Juan rapists. They're beautiful, they're white, they wear good clothes, they go into the clubs, and what do they do in the clubs? They look for women, usually Hispanic women coming alone to clubs. Black women and white women very seldom go to nightclubs. They give her a drink with Rohypnol, so she's drowsy. Then they take her out to the car. They put her in the car. There's another driver, and they go and they rape her and they dump her on Hollywood Boulevard. Now, that's what's happening. Miss Martinez doesn't give a shit. She isn't even here. She won't be raped. And I want to tell you, incidentally, racism helps black women because the people who like to rape want white women or Hispanic women or Asian women. They very seldom white men rape women.
Direct it to me, please.
I'm telling you right now. Then you answer. You have Hollywood. You know where Hollywood Boulevard. Say I'm a liar. Say that the number of rapes on Hollywood Boulevard are 20 times higher than on any other street. And you don't give a damn because the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce doesn't want any bad publicity about Hollywood. It's the rape capital of the world, and I'm sad that I have to say that every rapist who comes to Hollywood and rapes a woman, you never get caught. It's open season on rapes in Hollywood. And if I'm wrong, give me the numbers and say there hasn't been a rape on Hollywood Boulevard in 2 months or 3 months. The Don Juan rapists are out there. They're really nice.
All right, thank you. You completed your public comment. And for the students to know, if one fills out a card, they could say anything if it's near the subject per the city attorney. That's the Constitution. Mr. Juan Alcala.
Well, he speaks the truth. That guy speaks the truth. And I'm all against rape. But more than anything, I'm against City Hall pretending to help and love people when they actually rape the people monetarily. You have us all on the run. You are economic rapists. That's what you are, economic rapists. I only wish to speak 1 minute because to say economic rapist does not take that long.
He is not on this topic.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Alcala. Item 61, we're going to receive and file, and then we're going to vote without objection on receive and file, and then vote on 60. Thank you very much. I don't have any more cards. Please, Madam Clerk. Your card was, I apologize, your card was submitted late. Thank you. Madam Clerk, we're ready to vote. Mr. Blumenfield, did you push your button? Oh, you did. Okay. You want to speak to this?
Yeah, well, no, I just wanted to add my voice to this. It's so important. I appreciate Ms. Martinez bringing the issue up. 1 in 6 victims, 1 in 6 women in America have been the victim of or attempted victim of rape. It's unconscionable. We need to do something about it. In my own district, we have a community action team that we put together, and we're working with the police department, with Chief Villegas, using the Valley Coalition on Gangs as a model of how we can really work around this issue and bring people together, because it's important that we shed light on it and we wear jeans today, but it's also important that we organize and we really do something about it. So thank you, Ms. Martinez, for bringing it up, and I add my voice in support.
Thank you. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Now we'll move on to item 25, I believe it is. And Sherry Robord, I think it is. Helen Wong. Irma Nunez. And then I have one other card. Please come forward.
And Mr. President, a substitute motion has been circulated for this item.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President and Council members. My name is Irma Becerra Nunez. I'm a Commissioner for Community and Family Services, instructor with the LAUSD Adult Education Program for Older Adults, and founder spokesperson for the California Coalition to Save Older Adult Education. which includes AARP, California Association of Area Agencies on Aging, Congress of California Seniors, Partners in Care Foundation, Lucille Becerra Roybal, and Edward Roybal Foundation, and is represented by the students, teachers, and community leaders throughout Los Angeles, who many are here today. If you would please stand. We give our heartfelt thanks to Councilmember Paul Koretz for being our champion and introducing this resolution to support SB 173 if it is amended to include funding for programs for older adults, parent education, and other significant programs. We also thank those who supported the resolution. Gil Cedillo, Mitch O'Farrell, who seconded it, Herb Wesson, Jose Weiser, Tom Lavage, who passed it in committee, Bob Blumenfield, who seconded the substitute resolution, and Nuri Martinez, who has helped us as an advocate when she was with the Board of Education, for supporting seniors, parents, and their families. In August 2013, members of the Assembly Higher Ed Committee, who previously supported the bill, stated now that they oppose the bill unless it's amended because they've learned of the unintended consequences. Hearing a full house of testimony and thousands of phone calls.
I have to keep you at 2 minutes because if I don't, other people will want more. So maybe some of the other folk can wrap up your part.
Helen said she's going to let me use.
Well, we don't do that. Is it Alice or Helen? Helen. So if we could. We generally, if I do that for you, I have to do it for everyone. It's not like I wouldn't want to, but I'd like to keep the rules. So if we could have Helen, or this is Irma.
Sherry Revord. Good morning, everybody.
I'm sorry. I got you.
You got me. Good. I'm the Director of Advocacy and Outreach for Partners in Care Foundation. I'd like to thank Councilmember Koretz and all of you who are supporting this resolution. I don't think that our legislators in Sacramento would have proposed it if they had understood the far-reaching ramifications of cutting older adult education. The Affordable Care Act and the California Care Initiative, the reform intended to reduce Medicare and Medicaid costs is predicated on a robust array of community-based services that help keep frail elders out of nursing homes, ERs, and hospitals. So what does this is the kind of activity that is directly conducted by LAUSD older adult teachers. It is the conduction of evidence-based health promotion workshops which help seniors take control of heart disease, diabetes, chronic pain, arthritis, and it makes them better at the activities of daily living so they don't fall. And in essence, it keeps them out of those nursing homes and hospitals. So without older adult education in LA County, we are not supporting health reform. And I don't think that's a position that we as a city want to take. So thank you for this resolution.
Thank you. Ms. Wong?
I'm Helen Wong, president of the Arthritis and Fitness class for the past 7 years. Since the program began and is now under the LA Unified School District Division of Adult and Career Education, East LA service area. Class offers in collaboration with Councilman Gil Cedillo. Classes are held at Senior Park, Glassell Park Senior Center every Monday and Wednesday. Senior folks need to exercise to strengthen their body and relieve their aches and pains. It's very important to continue the senior program, adult program, for these folks to attend classes not only to get exercise but be able to socialize and maintain their physical health. Many are grandparents who babysit their grandchildren, but they need to be healthy and capable to care for their family. Irma Becerra Nunez, instructor for the class, devotes her time spending individual attention to students who need help. She makes contact with her students. This instructor has received numerous recognition for her excellent service. Just recently, our mayor Eric Garcetti had appointed her as commissioner to the City of Los Angeles to be on the Commission on Community and Family Service. Class is honored to have a spectacular instructor whom we highly admire. Today, senior folks have a longer life expectancy. Please consider the importance of their life today and their future. Save older adult education. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. No. Mr. Kala.
Only wish to speak 1 minute. Continued consideration of rules, elections, and intergovernmental relations committee report and resolutions relative to the city's position to oppose SB. Oh, my God, do you think that the common citizen understands all this jibe that you throw at him? All this legalese?
No, let's stay on the actual subject. I think most people do understand. I don't know if you understand, but I think most people do.
I don't think so, sir.
This is a very important issue. Stay on the point. Stay on the issue.
Well, the issue is you specialize in legalese to fool the people.
No, that's not the issue. You're off point. Okay, no, he's disrupting. Sergeants, tell him to behave. Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. The purpose of this substitute resolution is to seek continued support for very important programs provided to seniors and adults, both for a second chance and for recent immigrants for a first chance at quality education. In July of 2013, the governor and the state legislature approved AB 86, which provided $25 million for planning grants for the purpose of developing regional plans to better serve the educational needs of adults. Now, SB 173 has been introduced, which would establish numerous changes to adult education within the public K-12 and community college system, but that would include the elimination of funding for non-credit adult education programs, including those in home economics, health, and safety. And the City of LA, I believe, should be proud to join groups like AARP and the Conference of California Seniors to support this bill if it is amended to restore the 4 adult education areas proposed to be eliminated in the bill's current form, and to include them on the AB 86 list of classes that are eligible for funding. This will include the LAUSD-supported evidence-based health programs that would otherwise be devastated and impair our work locally and statewide, where area agencies on aging directly impact the well-being of seniors. So I appreciate your consideration of the substitute resolution, which would turn a problematic bill into a consistently good one. And I appreciate all the folks that were here today in support of this change. So thank you, colleagues, and I ask for an aye vote.
Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I don't know if I ever told you, 39 years ago, I was on Mayor Bradley's Youth Council, and one of the very first discussions we had was with the late, great Bill Elkins, Mr. Bradley's very special advisor, and he said, one day you're going to be on the Senior Citizen Committee. Well, my dues are paid on AARP. I'm up to date. I'm 60 years old, and you're the truth. Because without Evans Adult School, which is the greatest adult school at Sunset and Figueroa, that is a powerhouse for immigrants, we're not this great city that we are. And without the people like the late, great Cal Burke, who was a real masterful superintendent for adult education, we're not the great city that we are. So I just wanted to stand and remember my past, to look at my future, and know that seniors throughout Los Angeles blossom and blossom again through education. Education doesn't stop at grade 12 or grade 16 or grade whatever else you get. Education stops when you don't have an opportunity. We want opportunity for our adult education. And a shout out to Hollywood Adult.
Thank you. Thank you. If we could hold down the applause. Let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll.
Mr. President, first, council should vote on whether to substitute.
We need 2 votes on this. I'm sorry. So we'll vote on the substitution first. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Now we'll vote on it as substituted, right? Okay, let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
The ayes have it. Okay. Item 59, Mr. Akala. Item 59.
And the item 59, amending motion 59A, has been circulated.
Okay.
I used to be an adult education teacher at one time.
Stay on the subject.
Yeah. Communication from the Workforce Investment Board, Economic and Workforce Development Department, relative to the acceptance of $3,022,000 in temporary assistance for needy families. I guess it's a good thing, but I don't think the needy families are ever actually going to see that money. I think that the administrators that administer those programs are going to see the money. The needy families are probably going to get 1%, maybe, if lucky. So we entangle everything on studies and organizations and the actually people that need the benefit never get the benefit. They're going to keep on being as needy as they were before because we don't have laws to stop this neediness. And the best laws to use to stop this neediness is real estate. If everybody has a home and pays no rent, we don't need no minimum wage increase bullshit.
All right, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the door. Let's open the rolls. Close the rolls. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That's adopted as amended.
Mr. Parks, you want to go forward with 62, I believe?
I'd ask for the public support on assisting LAPD on a $75,000 reward motion. That incident occurred on Saturday, May the 4th, 2013 at 01:55 hours. The victim, Brandon Myers, a male, black, 21 years of age, was shot multiple times in front of 1246 West 69th Street. The LA Fire Department responded and transported him to the California Hospital Medical Center, where he was pronounced deceased due to his wounds. Also at the same time, victim Myra Brown, female, black, 19 years of age, was inside of a residence at 1246 West 69th Street and was seated at a couch in the living room. One of the bullets traveled through the structure and struck her in the chest. She also was transported to the hospital, but she was survived and eventually released. The $75,000 reward hopefully will motivate witnesses to come forward and identify individuals who may be responsible for these two incidents. The contact number is 213-485-1383, and that's at the request of Detective Nicholas Hartman. And we ask for an aye vote on this reward.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Mr. Akala?
Yes, if we were to build a better society, we may only have crimes of passion. We won't have crimes committed because people need money. So, end poverty and you will end a lot of this need to reward people and have people turn other people in because they needed money and they went around shooting each other. End poverty. Quit bullshitting around.
Let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
And I agree with you, Mr. Parks. I hope this really helps. Let's go to item 1. It's my understanding. Now, Mr. What were we going to do where related? Mr. Price, did you want to make a so you start this off.
Okay, on item J, Mr. President, my staff has worked with Building and Safety to amend the lien total from $5,952.39 to $3,202.39, removing the late fee, and I ask for concurrence.
Okay. All right. We have cards on this item, and that would be Elizabeth Alcazar, Myra Hall, please come forward.
Hello, I'm Myra Hall, and this matter it's been involving a case whereas there was I've been appealing the lien due to not receiving the notice. The only notice that I had received was the hearing notice that was posted at the vacant property at that time in December of 2013. To give an update, I had met with Mr. Charles, and I had met with Mr. Knoll, a representative of Council District 8, and that was in February of 2014. I provided documentation such as the Section 8 reports for that property from 2007 through 2012. It appeared that when the initial problem existed, the tenant, she had notified Section 8, and she also had notified the Building and Safety Department, in which we never got notice that Building and Safety Department had been notified. So the problem had been resolved with Section 8. However, it's still pending with Building and Safety. Now, after meeting with Mr. Charles and Mr. Knoll, there was they had told me they would follow up with an inspector. I just met with the inspector, Mr. Dal Swartz, and that was on April the 15th. He's going to have to come back out to the property, not due to negligence of the owners, but the tenants regarding some vehicles, etc. So I had thought that basically that would be enough evidence to clear this matter, but according to the email that I received from Mr. Charles, he needs to have the inspector rescinded. So I just need additional time. The tenants are supposed to have the vehicles off the property side by May the 4th.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Parks?
It's continued for 1 month so Building Safety could work out this issue.
Oh, and what's your address again?
Okay, my address is 603, this is my mailing address, 603B East University Drive. That's number 315, Carson, California.
The property?
The property is 552 West 110th Street. And it's showing Council District 15, but it's Council District 8.
Well, we've got a request for a continuance on that item, and it was for 30 days, Mr. Parks?
Yes, 30 days.
And that will bring us where?
May 23rd.
Okay, so without objection, that'll be the order on that. So do I have...
Thank you.
Do I have Ms. Alcazar? Elizabeth, please come forward.
Yes, good morning. Hi, good morning. I'm here on property 7106 South Broadway, and I was actually here last month and I had requested a continuance. I've also been in contact with Mr. Charles and made the phone calls that needed to be done to address my matter. I'm here today asking for another extension for the reason that I've also made contact with the inspector, and we're in the process of reevaluating, and he will probably need to come out again to inspect and see that whatever can be or was addressed during the original inspection was corrected, and or if there was any mistakes or anything like that. So basically, I'm just here for request of another extension.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Price?
Objection to granting that extension if it's appropriate.
And for how many days?
30 days? Would that be adequate?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, 30 days on that item. And Mr. Price, it's my understanding you wanted to highlight a few others.
Mr. President, item 1U, and again, my staff has worked with Building and Safety to amend the lien total from $2,379.30 down to $1,316.80, removing the late fees, and I would ask for concurrence. Thank you.
Okay, there are no more cards. Let's prepare to, no, you're out of time. There are no more cards. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
We'll go to item 53, held for cards. Mr. Arcala, you're out of time. On 53, let's prepare to vote. Let's open. Sergeants, go talk to him. He's out of time. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Item 65, again, Mr. Arcala, let's prepare to vote on this item, members. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
We'll go to now item 69, Mr. Weezer.
Yeah, 69, there's been an item circulated, an amending motion, so we could accept that as well. And also, after the vote, if item 14 can be sent forthwith, please.
Okay, well, in fact, let's send 14, 55, and 59 forthwith. So now let's prepare to vote on item 69. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Let me take up a few of the general public comment cards at this time. Let's go to Sean Murphy, Jose Martinez, and John Walsh. Sean, welcome.
Good morning, Mr. President. I hope you enjoyed your recess. I'd like to introduce you to members of my family that is here with me to celebrate my special day tomorrow.
Oh, wonderful. Sean, say the names in the mic so we can hear it.
Sheila, Danny, and Kitty Murphy.
Thank you all
It's a
for
member of my family.
coming down. This is a very polite, generous, articulate young man that we enjoy whenever he appears here. So, Sean, did you have anything else you wanted to say, sir?
I'm celebrating my 50th birthday tomorrow, but we're celebrating it tonight.
Enjoy it.
At the Smokehouse. All of my fans, I'm having a birthday tomorrow.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, can a member of my family?
Mr. Well, let's listen. LaBonge, just go right ahead.
Hi, I'm Sean's sister, Sheila.
Hi.
And I so appreciate how he enjoys your business and the warmth that he feels from this community, from all of you and all your staff.
No, thank you. That's special to each and every one of us.
I'm Dan Rogers, Sean's brother-in-law, and he wants me to ask you what's the next 50 years going to look like.
For him, I think it's going to be great. And yes.
And I'm Kitty Murphy. My husband is Sean's brother. And again, we'd like to thank all of you paying attention so much to Sean. He talks very fondly of all of you, and we know a whole lot about you through him. Thank you very much.
No, we love him back. Thank you all for coming, and happy birthday. In fact, Mr. LaBonge, did you want to say something quickly?
back here, Mr. Come on, everybody, right here. Excuse me, one, you got to sit down.
Come on, Mr. Laban.
I know. I wanted to make Sean very happy today. On behalf of all of us here, we have a commendation signed by the members of council, including myself. Throw me a pin, Jose. I need a pin. Right. Good job. Good job. Good job. I was so prepared. There we go. Thank you very much there. Good, we got it right there. Now it's official. Sean Murphy. And to the Murphy family, what is great is he comes and he tells us what crosswalks need to be painted, what bus lines need to be improved, how the subway is doing. He's a contributing member of our community. Sean Murphy Day in the city of Los Angeles. Good job. Good in here. Good in here. Good in. Good in. Good in. Good job.
Congratulations. Okay.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Look at there. Happy birthday, dear Sean. We really love you. Thank you.
All right. That really brightens our day. Mr. Walsh?
The Murphy Band.
Or where's Mr. Martinez? No. Yeah. Okay, go on, Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. You have declared my John Walsh Day every single year, February 32nd. Put that on your calendar. And incidentally, you people up here would despise my mother and father because they were my role models. They had even fouler mouth than I did. That's why I love them. HollywoodHighlands.org. Come to our website. We had a deal with Mr. Englander. We took something off the off the website about his sexual harassment. He broke the deal. It's back up there. Who is the horniest LA City Councilman? Maybe I'm wrong, but check that out. As far as the Armenian genocide is concerned, let's name names. The Ottoman Empire under King Farouk. And what was before LA? What city had the most Armenians in it before LA? The answer, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, when I lived there in the 1960s. So I know my Armenian history, and I consider Mr. Krikorian a shame to the Armenian people. He wouldn't even stand up when people were asked who is in favor of renters. He may have nice cotton hair, but he's all garbage. As far as newspapers are concerned, we have a new newspaper in the city. It's called the LA Register. Take the LA Times, throw it away, start a bonfire. But here's what happens. The LA Register is not available at City Hall because the LA Times leaned on City Hall, leaned on the mayor. So when you go downstairs to the basement, there's a newsstand, but their newspaper, the new LA Register, is not up there. And I just want you to know that the mayor is selling his house, renting his house $8,000 a month, and he just had the street paved in front of his house. Over 1,000.
Thank you, Miss Autry.
Favor of him.
Miss Autry, and do we have Jose Martinez?
Yes, relative.
General Jeff, you follow. Yes.
Thank you for an opportunity to address the City Council relative to the hearing on the mayor's proposed budget for the city. I would encourage that more money be allocated to prevent and to investigate why more attacks on women are occurring, support groups for women. In the last 2 weeks, I have been attacked twice, successfully getting a restraining order against a mentally disturbed man who was stalking me and other women. Yesterday, again, in broad daylight, verbally attacked with an inappropriate proposal. So there needs to be more investigations and money devoted towards servicing or towards prevention of these attacks, maybe having greater control of sexual predators, which happen to be in excess in the downtown area. And I think more money should be used, also allocated for children, seniors, as well as proliferation or development of jobs. Also, educational programs, rather than allocating more. Rather than allocating more money towards the prisons and jails, why not allocate more money towards social programs preventing, these types of criminal misbehaviors, children, jobs, programs for seniors. Seniors need to be as active as possible. Again, programs to investigate why sexual predation is not in the decline. Why aren't the police being more active? I've notified the police. There has been human trafficking that seems to be increasing. Women, because of this misogynistic kind of complacency, that are really under attack, and we fear even in broad daylight. So there should be more money allocated for programs to investigate why the attacks are occurring and why the sexual predators are not surveyed or why they are not imprisoned.
Thank you. General?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, City Council. My name is General Jeff. I'm a proud Skid Row resident, a community activist in Skid Row, and I'm also a state-appointed official through the Office of Health Equity Advisory Committee through the California State Department of Public Health. And in regards to the Little Tokyo CDO that you all approved earlier today, we just want to note that the Skid Row community was a part of the process, and we want to on behalf of the Skid Row community, we want to publicly thank the City Council, the Plum Department, and as well as the City Planning Department for respecting the Skid Row residents' wishes as we hold our borders at 3rd to the north, which we share a common border with the Little Tokyo community, and we worked extensively in negotiations with the Little Tokyo community to make sure that our borders were not encroached, and we respectfully move forward to more positive things in the future. On behalf of the Skid Row residents, we thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Akala, Mr. Marine, and then Sid. Yes.
I'm really, really surprised you're not saying I'm out of time. I kept telling you I only wish to speak 1 minute, but you keep disrespecting my wishes. Therefore, what do I have to do? Sue the city and gain my rights back? When I say 1 minute, it doesn't mean you're going to take away 2 minutes. You do that every damn meeting. And I don't know why you do it. Because you don't like me telling you what you really are? You're a bunch of thieves, liars. You're just not out for people. If you were out for people, you would ban alcohol, you would ban cigarettes, you would ban all the bad things that are out there. But no, all you are is about money. Garcetti, you SOB, I saw you talking about parking meters last night on the news. Hey, why do we have parking meters? Do we live in a society where we vote for things or we don't? Nobody has voted for a damn parking meter, and you're projecting to get $9 million out of parking. What a bunch of thieves you are. The citizens do not want parking meters. We want housing for everybody. We don't want your bullshit increments in salary, and then, on the other hand, you create more inflation. Bullshit after bullshit after bullshit after bullshit creates...
You have a wide vocabulary.
Yeah, it creates a bullshit society. That's what we are. We say one thing and do another. You're going to go smoke and get drunk.
Thank you. Thank you. And just so I'm going to try to make you understand that you were given 5 minutes. You ran out of time. No one is trying to take you. He is disrupting the meeting. Why don't we put him in his seat? So I just want the public to know, trust me, we allow this man to speak, and he's having an issue with time at this point. Mr. Marine.
Good morning. We know the members of this council are no longer ignorant of the 1,000-hour rule. You know that any worker employed past 1,000 hours has to be provided participation in a state employee retirement system. We know the money diverted from public employee pension and benefit plans is sitting in union banks and in. All right, let me get to say. I'm not sure where I went there. It's sitting in city bank accounts and in various union trusts in the city of LA. These people, MOUs show who agreed to serve as a trustee on behalf of Heckler & Koehler employees, on behalf of the Heckler Board and the City Council, for people employed less than 1,000 hours. We know that on an ongoing basis, you've been in violation of government code and denying workers permanent status as public employees, which they deserve. Everybody you see with the scarlet letters on their badge that says GSD in red is your warning to stop once they're employed 1,000 hours. And they have to be allowed participation in the pension plan, the pay period immediately following the week they earn 1,000 hours of pay. In addition, we need a Rule 16, Mr. Wesson, and second it to get this on the agenda, because you've been messing around with it for over 4 years now, and you're going to get building up more and more fines. There's more and more interest you're going to own on the money that you got sitting in city bank accounts, and you're not collecting a penny from the money you got in union pension plans. Thank you.
Okay, Sid Masudian. Followed by, is it Sifu?
Good morning, City Council.
Yes.
Good morning, President. Yesterday I had another meeting with the LA DOT, with the commissioners, Szabo and Romero, and also Mr. Cantor and the council. Let me make it clear, please, I do need help from District 14, from Mr. Huizar. I've been diligently working very hard for 15 months. If there was an honest broker in this deal, I think I qualify for that, to represent all sides, including Deligiani's interests. I like to address to the President, but I also like Mr. Huizar to hear me real well. Mr. Huizar, I need your help. We need a face-to-face meeting so I can see if we can bridge the gap to get this project to its final destination for the sake of all the parties and above all the Angelenos. I'm tired. I'm running out of ideas. I don't know what to do next. You know, today it's the ironic thing is the April 24th is being commemorated as an Armenian gentleman, as two grandparents who've seen the Holocaust, or at least they've seen our Holocaust. The only reason the Armenians were uprooted because of their ingenuity, their wealth, their capacity, their thinking out of the box, and being prosperous. Today is not the day for me to rehash all this, but it's all deja vu again. That a group of Armenians, most of them businessmen in this little town, almost destined to be uprooted for over no meaningless idealism. Please help for all involved, including the Deligianis, including LA United Investment, including those 12 merchants.
Thank you,
and
Sid.
I thank you for your time.
Thank you. So now, do we have Mr. Harrison? Yes. Okay, come forward. And I think a Scott Wright. Do we have a Scott Wright Jr.? Then you're after Mr. Harrison.
You already know. Excuse me.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Are you ready? Anyway, I'm here. My name is William Ira Scott Wright. We have a transportation project. The President of the United States is aware of it. The City Council is aware of it. Mayor Garcetti is definitely aware of it. Jen Perry was aware of it before she left. Hopefully she can be assistant mayor, either her or, unless she's out of the educational system, Rita Walters maybe. Those are something that the public in those districts are really, how I know, because I'm a political science major and an RMR. That's how we know. And a judicial prudence, that's how we know. Ours is law. Mr. Wesson, we kind of campaigned for him a little bit to find out. We was advised not to, and we see now we have a shrine, and it's coming back through our affiliation about it. He's signed. The only way going to be there is you have to sign the paperwork in order for him to do it. So I'm addressing now. I apologize for not addressing the rest of the council and the city clerks. Right now, I have short time. If the mayor, Mr. Bradley's administration, borrowed $10 million out of my account, he replaced it. If the city don't do it, then we have no alternative. Lockheed, Goodyear, and the rest has no alternative because I am the registered patent holder of this transportation project. And these shelters that you are allowed to start putting down Slauson, that's inadequate. They're not from the registered patent. You did it so they have no alternative but the rest of these states to file a civil suit on you. Now you think it's comical until it hits you in your face. So that's about all. We're going to do it. We're going to move it. So we don't care really, because it's not taking any money out of my pocket or the rest of the city. It helps to ease the tax burden. So that's all I'm doing. If it's nothing, if I can't get a chance to talk to the mayor, the money is gone.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Harrison. No.
Sifu Kelvin Berman Harrison, student of many martial arts teachers and also disciple of film star Grandmaster Kim Tae Chong and also Grandmaster Takamoon Hong. Addressing President Obama, the NAACP organization, for the record, Honorable Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, proposed investor of my satellite invention, all Americans, democratic, bipartisan, and all citizens of America of heavily moral means. Mr. John Mitchell of Reverend Jesse L. Jackson's office, why are you continuing to receive my daily legal documents in my defense and my children's defense and future and for the future of American people of all cultures, and you never contact me or supported me or detour the attacks and setups upon me here in Los Angeles? Of you, certain clergy, such as Bishop Ron Hill of Compton, California, Bishop T.D. Jakes, Pastor Creflo Dollar, I sent you documentations months ago if you was interested in my inventions and promotion of my music and proposal to you as investors. But you took my monthly seed in my CD demos and you allowed for months of my apartment to be broken into and certain setups by VA and certain law enforcement officers here. And forewarning you clergies, Pastor DePlantis, for approximately 2006 to 2008, daily you was getting faxes from me of incidents, attacks, and including my inventions and including certain situations of law enforcement in San Luis Obispo and dealing with the city council, but you did nothing. Hilltop Records, Mr. Tom Hartman of Hollywood, why are you going to just take my royalty monies and my music and blackball me and set me up and my music wasn't for you to use as you see fit of this type of style that you had used? Honorable Queen Elizabeth, I have made 2 songs as a tribute to you and your family, but various entities is keeping me from getting it to you. I still will try to get it done so it can be sold in British countries and as an honor to you and your family. And also, I would like to say for many individuals that sow seeds into many of these churches.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, that concludes general public comment. We still have item 63. And Ms. Autry, it's my understanding you have a card on item 63. Okay.
I just thought that I spoke on 63. I just made my general public comments. But just to reiterate the fact that the funds that the city has, I would encourage Mayor Eric Garcetti, again, to use that money to expand programs investigating why again, this misogynistic attitude exists. It's a sexist attitude. I've complained, and it seems as if women are not getting the protection that we need. We know that sexual predators have been released downtown for many years prior to gentrification, and more money needs to be allocated in prevention of attacks. Like I said, in the last 2 weeks, I've been verbally attacked, battered twice, indecent exposures, human trafficking, ritual abuse, sexual abuse, rape of women, human sacrifice. It's something that needs to be.
Mr. President, she appears to be going astray of the.
No,
agenda
this is. I mean,
description.
it's still relative to the use of the money, funding programs to prevent attacks and abuse of women. Also, money should be used, of course, to expand opportunities for homeless to reenter society and regaining their life skills. Money should be used, of course, for housing for the needy, not in decreasing but actually increasing availability and access to affordable housing and maintaining access and availability of affordable housing. And monies should be used also. I think I don't know if the money is allocated for the services or feeding of the homeless. I know that there has been an effort to stop availability of food. I think that food needs to be available until the homeless are able to re-enter society and regain usage and apply and be functional within the society using their life skills. Monies, again, should not be allocated for police. This is not a police state. We're not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's prepare to. Mr. Krikorian?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to mention item 63 I called special because there's an amending motion that's been circulated to change one of the dates. This is simply to set the public hearings on the budget. I ask for your aye vote.
Let's prepare to vote on this. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, now we have a special. Mr. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll recite the facts as presented to me by the maker of the motion for the Council's consideration of the adequacy of the findings. Since the posting of today's agenda, work crews at the Blossom Plaza excavation site unearthed a portion of the original aqueduct used to bring water to the city. Immediate action is required to alert the community and to authorize the Bureau of Street Services and Department of Transportation to close streets surrounding the site on Saturday and expedite issuance of overload permits to remove the artifact for safekeeping. Council must first make findings pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2 before considering the substantive motion.
Okay, let's make the findings. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, now let's, we'll give a minute on public comment on this item. So, Sergeant, if you could, obviously, Mr. Walsh, you can come up and speak.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential or at Hollywood Dems. Well, of course, we're 100% in favor of this. I don't know what took you so long to put it on the agenda.
Okay, let's prepare to vote on this. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, is there any other business? Mr. Krikorian.
I'd like to ask that items 72 and 74 be sent forthwith, please.
Without objection. That'll be the order. That brings us where?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
They're posted and referred.
That clears the desk.
Announcements, members. Mr. Cedillo, I thought you mentioned you might have had a...
Are we forthwith on the previous? On the one on special? Does that happen automatically, or do I...
63 is forthwith? Or what? The special's forthwith.
Yes.
So with
announcements. Members, let me invite all of you. Everybody gets excited about a big movie opening and a premiere. Tonight, right across the street here at the Grand Park, under the stars, we're going to have a premiere of the movie Water and Power. Water and Power was a movie based upon a play that ran about 7 years ago, a play that ran here at the Mark Taper Theater, received Drama Critics Award for the best drama in, I think, 2005 or 6 or 7. It's written by Richard Montoya of the group Culture Clash. It's based on his view of how Latinos are emerging to be a leading political force in the city and the challenges that confront all ethnic groups as they begin to accumulate political power to represent their respective communities. It comes out of Sundance. It's produced by Edward James Olmos. It will hit theaters on May 2nd. AMC is carrying it citywide. But tonight we have an opportunity at 7:30 to have a premiere. Supervisor Gloria Molina and myself are sponsoring it. It's for free. And then the best thing is that it's for free. So it's tonight for free. 7:30, come and meet the cast. Come and meet the author. Come and meet all the people involved in the production. Water and Power here
Didn't
tonight.
you help inspire this film, or is a character based on
Well,
Mr. Cedillo?
there's a cameo of one of our city council persons in there, and there's also a lot of research that was forthcoming from both myself, Senator Tom Hayden, Councilmember Richard Alatorre, and others on the nature of politics in Los Angeles. Water and Power tonight, 7:30, a premiere for free. The public is invited for free.
For free. Thank you, Mr. Cedillo. Any other announcements? Okay, if I could ask everyone to please rise. For adjourning motions, I would like to take the liberty, if I could, members, and go first. To the clerks, I have dispatched Assistant President Pro Tem Tom LaBonge to the Bradley Tower, where when I finish with this adjourning, he will be our bell master and ring the bell that we have up in the tower. I want to recognize the 10 individuals that lost their life when they were going on the tour of Humboldt University. As you can see on the screen, there are their photos. They were the best of us, and they will be surely missed. We have Michael Mavet and his fiancée that you will see down in the corner. He was a graduate from Humboldt, and he and his fiancée, Madison Haywood, were chaperones on one of the buses. Now I'll go directly to Madison, who spent time at Humboldt University and was described by her parents as a free spirit. We have Arthur Ozolo, a 26-year-old counselor. His job, his passion was working to help underprivileged young people, to put them on the right path so that they could become productive members of our society. There was an article in one of the newspapers last week about Adrian Castro, 19, a senior, a cornerback for El Camino High School. Individuals that, a lot of these people had been accepted to go to other universities, but they wanted to experience this trip, and Adrian was one of those individuals. We had a set of twins, one on one bus and one on the other, and we lost Marissa Serrato, who was only 17 years old. And again, like I said, her and her sister, you could barely separate, but at this time they decided to go on separate buses, and we lost Marissa. For me personally, Jennifer Bonella was a young girl from Dorsey High School that's in the district that I'm blessed to represent. I attended the vigil. I spoke to her sister, and I could not speak to the mother. I just couldn't bring myself to do that. This young lady was beloved, had success written all over her, and the Dorsey community is devastated, and so are her parents. And she was considered a bright star. So we want to adjourn for Jennifer as well. That brings us to Ishmael Jimenez and Denise Gomez. Ishmael's 18, so was Denise. They were seniors at Amino Inglewood Charter School High School, and they too lost their lives going to have what was supposed to be a great time at Humboldt University. Then we have Tim Evans, 32, husband, father of 2 young girls. He was the driver of the FedEx truck, and he will be missed. In fact, his stepmother referred to him as he was like a Boy Scout. You could not ask for more in a son-in-law. And lastly, I'd like to adjourn for Miss Lealau Tayo, who was the driver of the charter bus that was struck by the FedEx freight truck. She was 53 years old, and it's my understanding that she had a spotless career in driving, no infractions, just spotless. And as an aside, during one of the Olympics, I believe in Canada, she had the honor to drive the Jamaican bobsled team. So at this time, Mr. Labange will be ringing the bell 10 times. Thank you, Mr. Labange. And also, we should reference the tragedy in Korea and give our prayers and thoughts to all of those people. And when we have more particulars on that, members, we will take the appropriate action. Now, are there any, did anyone want to say anything where related to the young people? Mr. Buscaino?
Thank you, Mr. President, for that incredible tribute to the victims. I, in my district, had 2 students from Banning High School in Wilmington who, thank God, survived the horrific crash. And I want to thank some of our community partners, American Airlines, for sending the parents up to be with their son and daughter in the hospital. And as you may have heard, we set up a fund through our local nonprofit, ShareFest, to help with funeral and medical costs. And we invite those who are interested to contribute. Just visit our website, la15th.com, to do just that. And our hearts and prayers continue to be with the victims of the crash and also the survivors as well.
Thank you. And I also had a student from RFK High School, and thank God they survived. Mr. Cedillo.
Yes, the silver lining, of course, are those courageous people who came to the rescue. And one of them was Miles Hill. Miles Hill, you may have saw him on television, sitting in his hospital bed, the resident of the 1st District, an incredible young man, kicked the door open, not only so that he could get out and others, but help rescue others. Doesn't have full memory yet, has not fully recovered. We're in contact with his family. He was in school right up here in Eagle Rock, in the 1st District. He's at Renaissance Arts Academy in Eagle Rock. We will be bringing him to give him full recognition when he's capable, we believe. Next week we should be able to have a visit from him. He's in recovery, but he was really one of our angels in the silver lining.
He was a hero.
He was the hero. So many more would have suffered had it not been for his heroic
And
actions.
at a young age to show such bravery.
Yes.
Mr. Huizar.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. President. And adding to that, Miles Hill High School Renaissance Arts Academy, one of the highest performing charter schools in LAUSD, and also for CD14, another student, Evelyn Guzman from Bow Heights, who attends the Inglewood Charter High School, and as well as Camille Jones from Wilson High School, who passed away. And what's ironic about all this is that many of these students going to be their first in their families to attend a university, and it's so ironic that they were bound to make life better for themselves and their communities and their families, and to see this tragedy, it really struck home throughout Council District 14, and we pray for all who were involved in this.
Yeah, and I just felt compelled for us to acknowledge all of them, even though they aren't all from the city of Los Angeles. Any other adjourning motions? Mr. Bonin, did you? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'd like to ask today that we adjourn in memory of Joseph Naughton III of my hometown of Clinton, Massachusetts. He died April 13th, too young, of cancer. Many of you know his uncle, Dean Leavenworth, who works for Time Warner, used to be with Laura Chick's office and Mayor Reardon's office. Dean and I hail from the same hometown. Joseph died, as I said, from cancer on the 13th. He's survived by his mother, Maureen Berinsky, who actually flew out here for my swearing in last year, and her husband, James, as well as his father, Joseph Naughton Jr., and some siblings, and nieces and nephews. So I'd like us to adjourn today for Dean and for the family. May he rest in peace and walk forever in the sunlight of the Spirit.
Thank you. And I'd like to go back to Mr. Englander, who wanted to speak on the young people that we lost. Mr. Englander.
Oh, thank you. I think we were all deeply affected and touched. And I really appreciate that you did that. I think it was, I've never heard that we've ever done that, send somebody up to ring the bell. And that was a nice touch. I, too, had a resident in my district who was on the bus, and fortunately he's okay, thank God. Went to Chatsworth High School. But with that, and where this hit me the most, and it really tore me up watching all the news on this, is my own daughter, same age, just getting back from all the college tours, and you can't imagine, I mean, the worst thing that you could ever possibly go through in life, and these were my grandmother's words, is to bury a child. And unfortunately, she had to bury two of her three. And I just can't even imagine, as having two of my own, what these families are going through, and that our communities and the city is in mourning. We're all in mourning. It just really hit home, knowing that my own daughter, same age, just coming back from these same college tours, these tragic accidents happen, and how precious life truly is. And I really, truly appreciate, Mr. President, that you've taken the time to recognize each of the victims and their families. Thank you.
Thank you. And per Mr. Labange, we had 10 ringing, the bell rings, and every time the bell rings, we give wings to an angel. So 10 new angels. Yes, Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to adjourn after all the tragedy that we've adjourned in memory of. I'd like to adjourn in remembrance of a friend of mine who died the way ideally you should die. He passed away Monday, April 7th at the age of 89. His name was Rick Rickles. Very involved in the city of West Hollywood. He lived a full life. He did everything he ever wanted to do. In his 50s, he decided that instead of making money, he wanted to contribute more to the community and became a psychotherapist. People thought he was a little crazy, but he went on to practice for decades and help countless people. He was deeply passionate about West Hollywood affairs and will always be remembered as the voice for tenants and senior citizens in West Hollywood. He was active from the Cityhood campaign to every city event and many council meetings. He was on the Senior Advisory Council. He was active in Democratic clubs. He was a real icon in the city of West Hollywood, and we just celebrated his a memory and celebration of his life. He also was on the Los Angeles County Area Agency on Aging and their advisory council, which operates under the county's Department of Community and Senior Services. He was appointed twice and elected once to the California Senior Assembly, and he'll be dearly missed by many, many friends. He leaves behind a large family of stepchildren, grandchildren, nieces, and nephews, and he was recently predeceased by Ray Mitchell, his love of his life for 37 years. So I'd like to adjourn in memory of a life well and joyfully lived.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. Any more adjourning motions? Mr. Cedillo?
That's maybe a better note, as Paul said. During the break, we lost one of the greatest writers of the world, one great Latin American writer, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And many of you know him either from 100 Years of Solitude or Love in the Times of Cholera. And he was a great Nobel Prize winner as a writer, long, rich life, and chronicled the lives of his family and the lives of Latinos from Latin America, and he was read throughout the world, one of the most read authors of the world. And so after a long, rich life, he is no longer with us, but he made such incredible contributions, literary, and then later with his fiction and with the movies that were made of his books. And so let us close in his memory.
Well said. Mr. Huizar.
Mr. Cedillo, and I think he was Mexico's adopted son, actually from South America. I think it was Colombia, but I don't think there's been a greater writer that's had so much impact in Latin American literature as he has, and he certainly has been a loss that if you haven't read his books and have time to read, they will certainly take you on a journey. A great writer. Thanks.
Thank you all. Any more adjourning motions? Members, this council meeting is adjourned. See you Friday.